So I have two people here with me. You may or may not recognize either or one. Don't worry, we'll be going over it. Of course, we have my dad, Pete, also known as the Lockfather.
Howdy.
And then we have the one and only Michael Johnson. Michael, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
So for those of you who do not know, Michael here in the late 70s, that's 1970s, when my dad went to locksmithing school down in LA, he had an instructor, and his instructor happened to be Michael.
That is correct.
So I'm really excited. I've always wanted to talk about this with both of you. So not only am I excited to kind of get a little history, but I'm really even more excited to have you guys answer a few questions that I've put together that none of you know the answer or know what the questions are.
Yeah, I don't know.
Isn't it more fun that way?
Oh, yeah. It's so much fun.
All right, no, Michael, you live a couple hours away.
Yeah,
right?
I'm a couple hours away, west of Missoula.
And I think the last time you swung by here, I was missing.
Yeah, well, last couple of times.
Last couple of times? Okay. So sorry I missed you. Hopefully my dad was around.
Yeah, he was around.
Okay, good.
I'm always around.
Yeah, he's always around. He doesn't leave.
Yeah.
He stays. You can always find him.
Oh, yeah. All right. So if you could, though, just kind of give us a quick background. Like, what year did you start locksmithing in?
1969.
1969?
1969 I started, and I worked for Diebold.
You worked for Diebold?
Doing banks.
Okay.
And I wasn't technically a locksmith then.
Okay.
I was an alarm installer.
All right.
And then I became a locksmith after that.
All right.
So during that thing, because I learned safes, I was building vaults, bank vaults, safe deposit boxes, and doing bank alarms.
Okay.
So
you started doing all of that, and then you eventually...
I left that job, became a field service engineer for a environmental company.
Okay.
Testing air in power plants.
Okay.
And then I left there and became a real locksmith when I went into a locksmith shop, which was the first one I bought, by the way. I went into that locksmith shop, and the guy, I was going to have a key made for my 65 Mustang. And the guy says, well, I'll tell you how to do it. We were talking, he wanted my safe background that I had from Diebold.
Okay.
So he says, I'll tell you how to do it, and then I'll show you, then I'll teach you the real locksmithing. So that's what I did. And then 6 months after I started with him, I bought him out.
Okay.
And he became a salesman for Clark Security.
Okay.
And he's in Chicago now. I talk to him every once in a while.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's in Chicago, retired.
Okay. And then so over the years, you've owned several
locksmith shops. Yeah, I had 3 of them in California, and I had 3 of them in Colorado.
Okay.
And I have one going in Montana right now.
Okay. And so somewhere along that line, you also did locksmith. You were a locksmith instructor?
Yeah, I was an instructor. I was a teacher.
Okay, you were a teacher.
So what happened with that, I was for LA City School District. I became an instructor for the adult education.
Okay.
And mainly most of the students were people that were hurt on the job or something, had to change professions.
Okay.
So I was an instructor for LA City School District, and then I also did the locksmith school.
Okay.
I was in Van Nuys. I was instructing in both places at the same time.
You are?
Yeah, and while owning 2 shops at the same time.
Okay, so you had 2 shops going.
I had 2 shops in the San Fernando Valley.
All right.
And I was teaching downtown LA for the LA City School District, and in Van Nuys in the Valley for I don't remember what it was called.
California Locksmith.
California Locksmith.
Okay.
Institute, yep.
So, I'm really curious, and I don't know if I've ever asked you this question before.
Hold on to your shorts, people.
What's the first time that you remember meeting my dad, and like anything you can remember about the conversation or what you thought?
That he was a student in the class, and we became friends. I taught him, we became friends. He would come to my house. He would come to the store. We did things. He would go on jobs with me to learn.
Okay.
Outside of the school. So
Okay, so sorry, go ahead.
No, and that was basically what we did. And then when he graduated school, he decided he was coming up here to Coeur d'Alene.
Okay.
So, and he was going to start his locksmith shop.
Well, it was 4 or 5 years after.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's after you were learned.
Yeah.
You learned. It took you 4 or 5 years to learn.
Yeah.
Everybody else was 6 months. You were 4 or 5 years.
I believe
So it was one of those that, so when you met, I mean, how old were you?
21.
Okay, you're youngin'.
Yeah.
And so you went to locksmithing school, my instructor, and like, so you started going on some jobs with
Yeah, he'd do some bank stuff, and I said, hey, do you mind if I come along, or some rekeys? And with him, with Mike and Brad Spector, used to go to his shop every Saturday. So you need knowledge, and it's hard to get sometimes.
And so hanging out with Michael and Brad, like they were willing to help teach you stuff, or?
Yeah,
And how much of the talk, like when you guys are driving around to jobs and doing stuff, how much of the talk was like technical and how much of it was like business, like talking about the business of locksmithing?
Probably both the whole time.
Yeah, it was probably both.
Yeah.
Because I was eager buck.
He was eager.
So like, I mean, back when he was hanging around with you for those 4 or 5 years, I mean, like, could you tell he was ambitious and he really wanted to build his own company? Or?
Yeah, well, no. Yeah, he was ambitious. He had his handicaps he had to get past, and he worked hard.
Yeah.
He was a real hard worker, and he's made it now. He's successful now.
And I remember when Michael came up in his black Corvette onto the ranch, up to my little ranch house.
Yeah, I didn't care. It was off road.
Yeah.
We 4x4 my Corvette. I didn't care.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. What was that, like 2 miles in on that?
Yeah, about
road?
a good mile.
Okay. And so I mean, here you are in the San Fernando Valley and you want to go see where Pete lives.
Yeah.
And he's out in the middle of, as he would say, in the country.
That's it.
Well, it was the country of San Fernando.
That's it.
What was it, 1,000 acres?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
And
1,000
then behind
acres.
us, there was tens of thousands of acres.
Yeah. And now it's full of houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last time I went out there, I was out there and it was just full of houses.
Very cool. And so you decided to come up to Coeur d'Alene. Like, now when he told you, he was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be heading up to Idaho and I'm going to start a locksmithing business up there. Like, what were you thinking?
I was thinking, why are you going to Idaho? What was the reason to go to Idaho?
I could afford a house.
So, he went to Idaho. But I can tell you, I remember the first time after he moved up here and he had the business, he sent me a sample. I don't know if you remember this. It was a shell, a gun shell.
Oh, the bullet.
The bullet that he made keychains out of.
Yeah.
And he sent it down to me. He goes, what do you think of this? And I'm going, are you crazy?
I had a lot
you
of
moved to
time.
Idaho to be crazy.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, you're like, man, he went to Idaho, and he's sending me bullets.
Yeah, he sent me bullets for key rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what got into you.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
No, I was manufacturing them.
Well, I know, but why? What
Well, I
was
was
the
always looking for income, a way to make a buck.
And I mean, were you shooting these bullets and then using the
No,
shells?
I go down to the ammo shop, the gun shop. And there was actually a couple live ones when I was drilling out the primers. Yeah, I was very fortunate.
Wow. I mean, I was thinking, I was like, man, maybe like your way to convince mom it was okay for you to be out shooting all the time or something
Sounds good to me.
was just trying to make my raw material for my keychains.
That's it.
Oh my gosh, that's good.
Maybe he was trying to keep after, ILCO. ILCO uses all those shells to make key blanks. So
Yeah,
that's what he was doing. If they're using them for key blanks, I'm going to use them for key rings.
that's it.
Yeah. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, hey, so we're going to be hopping in and I have some questions that I'm going to be asking. And we're going to be kind of talking through them together. But if we have time at the end, go ahead in the chat. Go ahead and put a question that you might have, maybe for both of them, maybe for one of them. And then what we'll have is hopefully Julio can pop them up at the end on the screen. I will ask them and we'll see how it goes. All right. So if you want to do that, and hey, now who thinks that, you know what, with having Michael here, my dad, willing to talk through stuff, maybe you ought to just consider liking the video, right?
Oh, yeah.
Why not? Why not? I mean, now, okay, Julio, can you put a little confession music on here? I have a question for each of them really quick. There it is. All right. How often, when one of you are watching a YouTube video, that if you like it or you like the channel, do you actually like the video?
I do.
How often? Like, well, give me a percentage.
I'd say 70%.
Okay.
I never like them.
You never.
Never.
Okay.
I never do.
Okay. So there you have it. There you have it. I have to admit too, I watch a lot of YouTube on my TV. Julio, come on, putting the confession music on for me. I have to, most of the YouTube I watch is just on my TV through like Roku.
Yeah.
You know? And so like, it's kind of awkward to like stop it and like it.
Yeah.
I need to though, you know? But all right, enough of that here. We can get on to the good stuff. Let's go ahead. Let's pull up the first question and have some fun. Okay. For both of you, what was the hardest thing for you to learn early on about locksmithing?
It has to be about locksmithing. Huh?
Yes.
Well, nothing was hard for me, but
Everything was hard for me. Comprehension, I would say.
Is there like a particular skill that was hard?
Interesting, you know, trying to figure it out, but now I'm a whiz at it.
Okay.
Just practice. I remember taking a chalet lock apart at the kitchen table. It took me for hours. I was sweating because I refused to let up, you know, just determined.
that was true. He was always determined to figure out why.
Yeah,
So it was impressioning.
Yeah.
But you would say over the years you've gotten good at it.
very good. Even the eyes go bad, just put a pair of cheaters on, I can still do it.
You need the light too.
Yep.
Yeah, the light.
The light.
Well, the funny part, you know, as a kid, one of my dad's favorite things to always do was I'd be on with him like a lockout,
Mm-hmm.
and it'd be a Chevy 6-cut, and the keys would be just sitting on a seat or maybe even hanging from the ignition or something. He'd go grab his Curtis clippers, look over there, you know,
Yeah.
dial it in.
That's right.
Yeah,
You go, boom. Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
did that a lot.
yeah, which isn't quite impressioning, but I
Didn't
guess
know my depths.
you know your depths.
Well, it's kind of easy, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
once you learn how to do it, it's easy to sight read keys.
right.
What skill would you say was the hardest for you to learn at?
I didn't really have a hard time. I was always mechanically inclined. And like I say, when I learned locksmithing, the first time that I did it was I impressioned a key for my car. Never had impressioned a key. And 15 minutes later, I had a key made for my car.
Really?
So to me, it was easy. If you explain to me what the idea is, then I can understand how to do it.
And just give you a little bit of time and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Okay.
So I really didn't have a problem with anything that is in the locksmithing industry. When I started in it, we fixed locks. We didn't buy new locks.
Right.
We always had parts. You can buy parts and fix the lock. And then we became a throwaway society. And now locks, if it breaks, throw it away. Don't fix it.
Yeah. How about did you do drilling safes?
Oh yeah, I drilled safes. Once I understood how it was, I drilled safes. And manipulate, learn to manipulate.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
and safe deposit boxes, I learned the wrong way to open them and the right way to open them.
Yeah.
When I worked for Diebold, they taught us the wrong way.
Really?
Yeah, the manufacturer, they didn't understand there's easier ways to open it than taking a hammer and a piece of steel and punching the lock through. That's all they did was they punched them out.
Yeah.
I wanted to go with Michael to do a bunch of security safety deposit boxes. The little cam lock,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They were a pain
Were
until
they?
you understand it. Yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, on that topic, tell me if you remember this. I could drive. I was probably 15, 16. And it was actually at a bank real close to the Post Falls shop. And they needed a safety deposit lock reset. And so you're like, hey, here's the pick. I've showed you how to do it a bunch. Go out there, pick it open, take it off, and all that kind of stuff. And I remember going out there and I put it in and I broke it. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because those picks were expensive.
Yes, and you come out and remember, when you would get frustrated, he'll start talking with his mouth closed like this, And I remember him walking up and I'm like, oh my gosh, my dad's gonna kill me. And we walk in there and the picks broke and he's like, these are expensive. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting a raise. Oh my gosh, that's good. Okay, well, hey, we can go on to the next question here, which is, what's a call you still remember from early on that you'll never forget?
Me, I had a safety deposit box for the FBI to open. It was an S&G. Went with Michael a zillion times.
And this one was on your own?
Yeah, on my own.
For the FBI?
Yep. There was down in Studio Cities, they have these, not banks, but these safety deposit box stores. And, people go in and rent them and whatnot. And they wanted me to open this one. So I said, sure. And so I go in there and, I pulled the nose, no problem, but manipulating the other stuff.
The wafers.
Yeah. I was trying more to pick it instead of just lifting them above the shear line and pushing the bolt back. And it took me a little longer, but I go, man, that was so easy. And the murder weapons and drugs and explosives was in there.
Really?
Yeah, that's why it was, hurry up, we need to get in.
Oh, and so you're sitting there and you pop the nose off and you're like, okay, I'm in it to win it at this point.
That's it. Sweat just dripping off of me.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because when I get nervous, I sweat.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Now, did you have to call anyone for help?
No, I'm the man.
Okay.
Or at least I thought I was.
Fake it till you make it.
Yes, and were you working under someone else then, or was the country lock and key
Under country lock.
down there? Cool. That's a good one. How about you, Michael?
Mine was when I worked with Diebold.
Okay.
And I was in City National Bank in Beverly Hills.
Okay.
And I was doing the vault alarm, and we were always told that we had to leave. If customers came in for the safe deposit boxes, we had to leave. And Dean Martin came in to the bank, and I was excusing myself. He goes, oh, no, don't worry about it. And he opens the safe deposit box that's full of cash, and he's pulling cash out and saying, yeah, this is for all my buddies. We're going out and partying tonight. Don't worry about it. And he takes his money out, closes his box, and walks out of the bank.
Really?
Yeah, it was like, okay, that's whatever.
Yeah, and who is this? And is this like an actor?
It was Dean Martin.
Yeah,
the
Rat Pack.
The Rat Pack.
No,
Singer.
I have
He was a
no
singer.
idea what that is.
Yeah.
With Frank
Sinatra
and Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah.
I mean, those
They're
obviously
old movie stars too.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the time, this was in 1969 or 70 when it happened.
Okay.
And that's, he was really famous at that time.
Okay. Yeah, he was in there grabbing a bunch of.
Yeah. And here's people just putting things on the ceiling in the vault and running wires,
Like he was just casual about it.
Yeah, he was casual about it. Oh, yeah, hey, don't worry about it. I'm just getting money we're having a party tonight.
That's good.
I'd like to be to his party.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, being in LA, because my shop, I used to do the city of Beverly Hills.
Okay.
So I had the master key system for the whole city.
Okay.
So I would see all kinds of famous people all the time in Beverly Hills because I was working a lot in there.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what it was. Dean Martin, he was really famous at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool though. Is there any other ones that stick out? I mean,
I probably have 300 or 400, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're fun to hear,
Yeah, well, yeah, they're fun. It's one of the things I learned early and young is famous people are the same as everybody else.
Exactly.
So if you just treat them like anybody else, then they're nice. They talk to you.
Yeah.
I've worked on many of their houses.
We all put the pants on the same way.
That's right.
Yeah.
In fact, I got to dig them out. I probably have 150 autographed pictures of movie stars that they autographed for me from my locksmith shop that we used to have on the walls, packed away. But
oh, really?
yeah, they're autographed, to the shop, and
that's cool.
because I did work on a lot of people. Marlon Brando. You know who Marlon Brando is?
I do not.
The Godfather?
I do. Is that bad? I mean, should I be
you're pretty
admitting
bad.
this
Yeah,
on the
you're pretty
internet?
bad. Yeah, you're pretty bad.
Oh,
I have a MasterCard slip that he signed that we saved the master. In the old days when you had MasterCard, they used to run them through the
I use
the
those.
machine and you had to sign them.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have that. I got his autograph on a MasterCard slip. But he was he was a big movie star at the time.
All right, that's good. Look at you guys. I mean, maybe next time. I mean, people in the comments right now are very unimpressed
Oh, they are terrible.
about me not knowing these people.
Yeah, see?
You know?
Well, he lives in Idaho. What do you expect?
Oh.
That's right. All they have here is potatoes anyway.
Oh man, yeah, we really got them. I mean, on this one, they're not. I mean, I think they're like, why do you not know any of this?
Because he's in Idaho.
Maybe.
Were you growing potatoes in your young life? Out in the potato fields?
The closest thing I got to potatoes are potato-sized rocks in my dad's pasture. When he'd be a wonderful Saturday morning, and he'd go and put his tractor out in the pasture. It was a 1 yard tractor bucket.
Right.
And he'd tell my sister and I that we couldn't do anything until that bucket was full of rocks. And so we'd be crying, carrying on, throwing rocks. But that was the closest thing I got.
Then I got you a golf cart and you put them in the back end of it and haul them.
Yeah.
See, you had fun.
Yeah.
Oh man, okay, let's go to the next question. All right, so if both of you were starting fresh today as a locksmith, what's the one thing you would do differently?
Differently from what?
How when you guys both started your first lock shops years ago?
I don't know if there would be any difference because you got to learn.
It could be different services, charging different.
Well, we could have charged a heck of a lot more now.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to sell keys for 99 cents,
Do you remember the cheapest you ever sold a key for?
No, they're probably that. Maybe they were probably 75 cents or, $1.
Okay.
They were, but key blanks were cheap then too.
Yeah.
You were buying quickset keys for what, a penny or 2 pennies?
Really?
Yeah, they were really cheap back then.
Interesting.
And that's why today I put a 8,000 key blank order in.
Before the price goes up tomorrow,
That's it.
doesn't want them to make any profit.
I know, why?
I don't know. What is that?
I don't know.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Oh man, what? Okay, so I guess if neither of you are biting on that question, let me ask it a little differently here. Is there any things that you have seen that are common locksmithing practices today that you wish people wouldn't do?
Pretend that they open cars with it used to be a Slim Jim,
Right.
but you open the cars and say, no, I'm a locksmith,
Right.
Okay.
when they know nothing. Opening cars doesn't mean you know locksmithing. Opening cars is nothing,
Okay.
but everybody, that's what they think.
Okay.
And the same that happens today that happened before probably is that employees, when you train employees, they think that they're a locksmith after 6 or 8 months, and then they decide to go out and open their own business, and they think they're going to steal all your business away, but they really don't understand. And those are the ones that I like because I end up buying the shops back at less money.
Okay.
You make a good deal.
That's
it, because everybody thinks that they know everything, but it's not the way it is. Locksmithing, you're going to learn something new every day.
it's constantly changing.
Yeah, it seems like the people who succeed the best in locksmithing and are really good, that's like the element that they love, is that every day you're doing different jobs with, different type of work. And maybe you've done this type of job before, but there's a new twist to it, for whatever reason. And it seems at the same time, a lot of people who don't like that want like the same thing. Like I go in tomorrow and I pin up SFIC all day,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? I mean, have you guys seen that as well with people over the years that you've hired? Is there a certain type of a mindset that
A lot of people want things easy and have it done right now.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Well, you still have to think about what you're doing. Even when you're pinning the master key system or whatever, you still got to think about it.
Yeah.
If it was so easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah, Yeah, everything I do is outside of the box. It's not normal. And I don't look at everything the same. Because I've been doing access control since 1969. So I've seen how access control has changed over the years. And it's made it easier for a lot of things, but there's nowadays, because when I first started in it, there wasn't all these different codes and regulations for locks and different things like that, like there is today.
Yeah.
So you have to know all of the regulations today. Back then you didn't, because there weren't any.
Yeah.
You went out and you got companies like Command Access, for example. They came in because in the old days, nobody was putting switches inside mortise locks or electrifying them or doing any of that stuff. I was doing all that stuff myself prior to them being in business.
Okay.
And that's the whole reason that they got into business, was because of that. And I know them because they were from California also. They were in Orange County. And we would talk back and forth on different things. I used to make my own power supplies. Now you buy power supplies.
Yeah.
I go buy the transformer and diodes and capacitors and put together a power supply just for that job.
Sure.
So now there's many companies that do it, and some are better than the others.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask a question a little differently. Is there anything that either one of you see that you wish these locksmiths would do?
Spend money to buy tools, to correct tools,
Okay.
to do the job right.
Do you have any examples of a tool or anything that?
I over the years, I've seen so many people like installing locks. They're freehanding the holes that they're drilling for the locks. They're not using a jig.
Yeah.
They're not using a jig. And one of the things that the jig is very good for is aligning the holes perfectly. Because when the locks are manufactured, they're manufactured for this perfect holes.
Sure.
And if you're freehanding it, they're not perfect, and the lock wears out.
Yeah.
So you're not doing a service for the customers.
Yeah.
It's all about customer service.
Okay.
So that's one of the things, and that's why, I have design jigs that are in service today that people are buying, that are sold under different names. That's a lot of the older locksmiths have come up with stuff like that. HPC makes a lot of their stuff they make is from locksmiths. A locksmith will come up with the idea, make something rough, and then HPC goes and says, "I'll buy that from you."
Yeah.
And then they start manufacturing it.
Sure.
So it's, tools are important in the industry.
It's sort of like those homemade slide hammers I make with the small vice grips.
Yeah. We used to use those for pulling the keys out of the dials, for a lot of safes.
Yeah. And how would you respond, though, if someone was like, well, Michael, I totally get it. I'd love to have all the tools. I'm new starting out. Money's tight.
Then find something else to do. Because if you don't do it right, why do it?
Okay.
That's the way I look at it, is if you don't do it right, why do the job? Or why even try the job if you're not going to do it right?
If you don't have the right tools.
Yeah, you got to have the tools to do it.
It is pretty painful.
Yeah, it is. It's like any industry. It doesn't matter if it's locks or an electrician. Electrician, you have to buy your tools to do the job. Locksmith, you got to buy the tools to do the job. If you don't have the money to buy the tools, you shouldn't be doing the job.
It'd be like if you were setting up garage cabinets and you knew that you needed, you had to pretty much need 200 bolts a day, but you couldn't afford a socket, and so you used a pair of
vice grips. Yeah, and you ruin the bolts.
Yeah, and then you get done, and it's like, well, it's together, but you're like, there's never a socket that's going to fit back on any of those.
Yeah. So that's what's important, And a lot of these, I've seen a lot of locksmiths, because I do consulting now, so I'll go out and help locksmiths get their businesses going. And that's the biggest complaint all the time. Do I have to buy this tool? Well, if you want to do those jobs, you have to buy the tool. If you want to make the money, you need to buy that tool to do those jobs.
That's the way I was with safe jigs.
Yeah.
Drill jigs. Oh, I just put my gut into it. Well, I'm done. Let's get those jigs and just use your finger.
Yeah.
And at first you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, because everybody, I did that when I was younger too. I said, I don't want to buy save the drill to drill the safes. And, you know, after a few safes, you go, oh, I'm going to buy the drill bits.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot easier.
Sure. How about you?
Well, me, I don't like when everybody takes a cylinder out and files the living heck out of it. You know?
Like the plug itself.
Yeah, the plug itself. You know, in the Schlage manual, it says take a file and gently go across, not dig old grooves in it.
Not make it flat across
That's
the top.
it.
And let's say that someone right now is watching this now or later that's doing that. And they're like, well, Pete, I don't know what to tell you. I pin up the cylinder, I put it in, it clicks like grandma's clock.
Well, then you take it out and figure the pin.
No, you quit using the 3000s or the 5000s pin kits. Use the original manufacturer pins.
See, Michael's the original.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
are
see?
you really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, tell us more about
yeah,
this.
Yep. So and it's not that the original, you know, Lab makes Schlage pins.
Yeah.
So Lab makes them for Schlage.
Yeah.
Lab makes them for Quickset. So if I'm doing a Lab, or not a Lab, but a Quickset or a Schlage or a Yale, I'm going to buy the Lab pins that are made for Quicksets or Schlage or Yale because they're the right dimensions.
Yeah.
And then when you key the lock, you use original keys, whether they're original made on a code machine or whatever they are. Then they're going to work every time. They're not going to click.
Okay, not like original, like you're buying a Schlage key,
No.
brand key, but you
No.
mean that it's a code
It's a code cut key.
Or punch, yeah.
Yeah, or punch. Yeah. And then you never have the problems. And if you're master keying locks, never use a 3000s pin kit or a 5000s pin kit, because Quickset is 23,000s for between the cuts. The 3000s pin kit doesn't do 23,000s. There's no 23 in there. There's a 21.
Yeah.
Or a 24, but there's no
I mean,
23.
is it 24 close enough for the girls we go out with, or
Not well. In Quickset, it might be because
Okay.
the quality is so good.
But I used type, you know, with the flat tops. and
Yeah,
bottoms.
those are made by Lab.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the bezel, you know,
Yeah,
it's not a pointed. I'm always on my guys, use the original Quickset on Quickset.
yes.
Yeah.
And over the years, I've done so many videos on the
Right.
Quickset.
yeah. And Sargent with the ball. Sargent pins are ball on the bottom. They're not pointed.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and it makes a difference because the way the grooves on the keys are made, that's how it seats in the bottom.
Mhm.
If it's got a point on it, it'll slide back and forth, and that's why you get your clicking.
That's why Medico has their off their edges. They don't bottom out.
So if tomorrow someone is tempted to get their file out and
I'll
make
break
the
their fingers.
clicking go away, yeah, special word you'd like to.
I can't say it.
Oh.
But yeah, I'd be upset. Like I say, a tad is okay.
Yeah.
You know, but I've gone on jobs where I have to sell them a whole new lock because there's literally a groove
Yes.
where they want a master key, even number 4 master pin.
Falls out.
Yeah, because there's so much groove in it.
Yeah, it's not good.
No,
It's not good. All right, that's a good one.
so that's what happens.
Okay.
World of locksmithing. They all say they know what they're doing, but do they?
Yeah.
We all have to learn. That's why I say more education.
Yeah, but is there more than one way to do something?
Absolutely.
There is.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the right way and the wrong way.
Yeah. No, man, that's good. Okay, let's see. Do we have any other questions there, Julio? Okay. What's something modern locksmiths take for granted that you had to do the hard way?
Automated key machines.
Yeah, use the 1200 or a Freeman.
What's the most amount of keys you've ever had to cut manually?
Oh, I've cut thousands at a time because I used to do large master key jobs. So
Okay.
I've probably cut thousands at the same time. You know, you can buy a key machine now that you can load it up and you can tell it what the cuts are and it'll just make all the keys for you.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. Like my shop, when I had it in the San Fernando Valley in probably 1979 or 80, I had the only Sidewinder key machine. It was a bore key. In fact, I had 2 of them.
Okay.
And the Mercedes dealer used to call me to do their keys because they didn't even have the machines.
Right.
And that was manual. You had to cut those keys manually.
Really?
Yes, they were manually. And, now they're done on their CNC machines.
Yeah.
Is basically what they are. But back then we had to do them manually. And to cut a key by code manually was pretty hard on one of those.
Yeah.
Because you have depth keys and you had to do all the different
Yeah,
depths.
that was a pain.
Yeah, that was a pain. But yeah, so I like I said, I had one of the first machines when they came out and did that. And it's kind of interesting because back then I was charging $35 to cut those keys. And today I charge $35 to cut those keys. Same price after all these years.
Yeah. Although it's easier now.
Oh, yeah, it's easier. Just put the key in and push the buttons.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have multiple machines that'll do that. I have one of the original Ilco machines that cost $18,000 to cut those keys. They're what they call
Quantra code.
Yeah, Quantra code. Yeah.
Yeah, I had one too.
Yeah, I had one of those. I still have it.
Oh man,
It's in my museum.
That went to too many recalls on
Oh
that.
my gosh. Well, what would happen? We'd be cutting a ton of keys on it. And you know how like the down access would extend down? Well, chips would get stuck.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was contact. And
Yeah.
so there'd be chips somewhere in there. And as it go down, it'd hit it and go up. And then you couldn't cut the key.
Yeah. Yep.
Man, that was.
Yeah, and that machine weighs like 200 pounds.
Yeah. Very
It was
expensive.
Very
Yeah.
expensive, a very heavy machine.
But I think towards the end, the only way, so it was like Ilco or Silka, like quit providing new like software updates for it.
Well, they quit doing the software updates around 2016 or 17.
Okay, well, this is before then, but I wonder if it was just too expensive. Maybe the updates were too
Well,
expensive.
they were getting expensive, but they were coming out with the newer machines.
Mm-hmm.
They had to compete with what was the name of that machine? God, I can't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head, but it was a code machine.
Ultra code?
No, it wasn't made by them. It was made by ITL, the ITL machine.
Oh, up in
950?
Canada?
Yeah, from Canada.
950?
Yeah, well, the 9700s and the 9750s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when ITL started, they were like one of the first ones to start doing that.
Yeah.
And then HPC did the Code Max. They had the Code Max, but then it started. Everything started doing it, and then Freeman made one. Everybody started making them after that.
Sure.
I still like my Laser Pro, so they still make those. I think
Yeah, the 3D. Yeah.
the 3D, and I still think that's the best machine out there because I don't like the Ilcos. No, they take too long.
You just want to get it done. Says the guy who used to do it manually.
Yeah, I know.
I mean-
times have changed. We got to get it done. Time is money now.
Oh man, that's good. Let's see. I think we can get on now to questions. Yes. Okay. So hey, if you've been enjoying having a good time and you have a question for one of these two fine gentlemen, old school locksmiths, I'm going to put it in the chat here, and if it's possible, Julio, to pop up on that. Okay. Julio's already on top of it. A question from MSCF6Y. What is your strangest customer story?
The customer.
Yeah, the customer always is strange.
I've been in some pretty bizarre situations,
Tell us more.
Well, I'd take my pants off. Remember I told you that story once live? I was hand filing Ford, and my knee was in an anthill.
Okay.
And all of a sudden they started biting. I looked down, my whole leg's red from the ants. And I said, I'm sorry, and I'm pulling them off using my pants.
Wow. So it started with you
Not paying attention where I put my knee.
trying to hand file and
Yeah.
brush in a key, and ended up with you taking your pants
Yeah.
off.
Well, I was flipping,
Oh boy.
That's what happens when you put your knee in an
anthill,
Yeah.
Wasn't the brightest guy.
Oh my gosh, that's good.
But it lit my fire.
Sure it did. How about you, Mike?
I haven't had any of those.
No?
I don't have any of those.
So you never had to take your pants off at a
No.
job. That's
Never had to.
pretty good.
Yeah. Chalk one up for me.
Yeah. I've had quite a few.
Safety first.
Yeah.
Oh man. You have a strangest customer story?
No, every customer's strange, but there's no strangest.
None that come to mind.
No.
Okay. All right, here's a new question from Tyler B066. What's the best way to grow a new locksmith business?
Buy an existing one.
Okay.
Buy the customers. Buy the phone number. That's the best way to do it. It's
Okay.
really hard to start a business from scratch in the locksmith business. The thing that I hate Google. I hate this whole social media thing because half the time they're lies, and that's why I don't like videos, because to me, my business, I don't care what people say about my business and what the work is, because usually it's other locksmiths that are going to bash you to make you look bad.
Okay.
It's all a facade.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, I've definitely heard people in the chats and that's already talk about how that's happened to them.
Yeah. Because you look at Google. You get all these spamming locksmiths out there.
Mm-hmm.
They're rated number one. Why are they rated number one? Because they pay money to get their ratings boosted up, or they do this. To me, why pay the money? If you're good, you're good, because people are going to talk about you. And my business has always been word of mouth.
Okay.
I have never done social media.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some businesses social media works for, and I don't go on social media to look for a business, because to me, I think that half the stuff that's written in there is lies anyway.
Yeah, I don't like reviews.
Yeah,
I've said that
reviews,
from day one.
Yeah, reviews to me, are nothing. But Google, they don't care. They just put anybody that wants to register can register, whether you're real or not real. They don't check anything.
Mm-hmm.
There is no checks and balances.
Sure.
From any of those online services.
Yeah.
So I when they call me, I just tell them I don't want your business.
Okay.
So.
Right, that's good. So on that topic really quick though, so you say the best way to grow a new locksmith business is to buy one.
Yeah, to buy an existing one that's been around for a while.
Yes, and in your experience and what you've seen through your many decades, can you get a pretty reasonable price on one? Is it possible, or?
Yeah,
And is it bad? Like, how would you approach it? Are you just looking for hearing if any of them's for sale? Are you befriending?
Well, no, yeah. I used to get phone calls from people saying, "Hey, I want to sell my business." Okay. I would get other locksmiths calling me saying, "Hey, I want to do it," because, like I said, earlier that. Your employees go out and think that they're locksmiths and they can start a business, and then they find out what business is really about, and they can't do it because either they're starting with not enough money, because you can't start a business unless you have enough money to at least go through 2 years. You got to be able to have enough money to support you for 2 years, because you're not going to especially if you're starting a business from scratch.
Yeah.
So if you can find a business, and I'll tell you, I bought. My first locksmith shop that I bought it with nothing down and just paid payments to the owner that wanted to sell it to me. I just paid payments, and you grow it that way because you already have built-in customers. You don't have to go out and look for customers. Mm-hmm. And then you just build on the customers you have to make it better.
Make it work.
And when Pete started his business up here, it was easier back in those days. It's hard to start a business today because of all the social media and all the BS that goes with it.
Sure.
So it makes it harder.
Yeah, there's many people watching right now who are legitimate locksmithing businesses that can't get verified or gotten banned on Google. And, it's been like this constant nagging problem.
Yeah, so the real people can't get verified, but the fake people can.
Yeah.
That's what pisses me off about that.
And that's why I say if you start from scratch, you got to go out and hustle every day.
That's right.
Yeah. Knock on the doors, give them your card, tell them, hey, just if you ever need anything, we're here in town, and do it, because that's the way I started mine, because I had no money.
Yeah. Did you ever know Steve Setti that was in LA when you were there?
Sounds familiar.
That's what he did. He started his locksmith shop from scratch, and he was Israeli and barely spoke English, but he went out every day and he got busy. He found it, and he became successful, but he had to work really hard at it. And that's what you got to do. If you're going to start a shop, you have to work really, really hard, and be on it every day. And it's not a 9-to-5 job.
And tell me if I'm wrong, though. I mean, probably one of the easiest ways to get jobs starting out would be to answer your phones when no one else is answering their phones.
Yeah.
Now,
And when I started, there was no cell phones. So, everything you had to have there, you were at the shop. So you would get the shop and you had answering machines. I had a machine. I was one of the few people that had the machine that would call forward.
okay.
So at night when I would leave the shop, I would push a couple of buttons, and I got this from the phone company, and it would transfer the calls to my.
Yeah, that's what I had up here.
Yeah, so it transferred before they had call forwarding on your telephone. This was a mechanical box that did it.
Yeah.
And now we have cell phones, so you can do it, but still people don't answer their phone.
Yeah.
You got to answer every call, and you got to be very nice, and it's all about customer service.
Sure. Yeah, how about you? Someone wanting to grow their new Locksmith
like
business?
I say, I had no money when I started. That's why I worked 20 hours a day to get money so I could buy stuff. Because you think, okay, I got this. Oh, I got 10 of 6 key blanks. Well, that's not enough.
Yeah.
And an old beat up jet, what do you call it? Key machine. It's probably 50-year-olds when I got it.
Yeah.
And then, work hard and try to get more stuff.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with me. I've always had to hustle and do it because I never had any money to do anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, what do you think about maybe joining chambers of commerce or like the business group things?
Yeah, the groups are good. You join the chamber, you get into I forgot what they call them, but they're the groups that they meet once a week.
Okay.
And then you get to know people because.
Yeah, you network.
Yeah, networking is where you make your money.
Mm-hmm.
And then you make sure you talk. We used to talk in the Chamber of Commerce. What's your 3-minute elevator pitch?
Yeah.
What's your pitch? You got 3 minutes to pitch something. How are you going to pitch it?
Sure.
So that's what it is, and you got to know what you're talking about. If you're going to start a business, really know what you're talking about, and make sure that you perceive everybody that they see that they think you know everything that you're telling them. Even if you don't know everything, you got to make them understand that you do know what you're doing. Because otherwise they'll go, oh, you didn't do that right, or we'll call somebody else.
Yeah, if you're explaining what you do for a living, then you're pretty iffy about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna. They're like, I don't know if we should be necessarily spending our money here, right?
Yeah, it's just go out, hustle, meet people, join the clubs, community.
Talk.
Yeah, it's probably the lowest cost thing to do is to try to either get in the chamber or get in like these different business groups,
Right.
Because you can start networking with people and you can meet maybe some new friends or what have you.
Yeah.
Or go into businesses and like I used to go into the auto body repair shops and I would leave cards or I would talk to them and they would always say, oh, we're going to do it ourselves, but then they find out, well, it's not that easy. So then you start getting business. You got to go to places where you don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah.
I know in Missoula there was a guy that used to sit in Home Depot and he would just sit in the lock aisle and he was a locksmith.
Really?
And he would sit when people were buying locks, he'd go, do you need that installed? You do this? And that's where he would find his business, in the aisles of Lowe's or Home Depot.
Really?
Yeah. But he needed to do that because he never had a shop, and he worked for somebody else for many years, but it wasn't right,
Very interesting.
Or you could go to neighborhood watches and talk about, deadbolts and security. And I've done a lot of that in the past.
Okay.
So the thing that we did at our shop, my first shop that I had was, and it was in Los Angeles, so we had the Los Angeles Police Department, is when anybody from the police department came in, their keys were free. We gave them to them.
Okay.
And what that did is whenever they go out someplace that was burglarized or something, they'd say, call Precision Locksmith, because they knew who we were because it was free.
Okay.
We gave it to them free. So it's like, it costs you some money for the key blanks, but you get your name out there.
Yeah.
So you just gotta find different things to do.
Okay.
To me, like I say, the advertising on social media isn't always the best thing.
Sure.
Although more of the younger people look at that now.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Interesting perspectives. And I would, by the way, I would expect
That's old
nothing
school.
else.
Yeah.
I would expect nothing else from a couple old school locksmiths, right?
Yeah. We don't use the cell phones. You know?
Yeah. All right, let's do Julio if we can. I know, Julio, I'm hoping you can stay a few minutes late here. Let's do one more question. All right. Lock Pro of Kentucky, what is up? Yeah, he says, question. What is the one piece of equipment you wasted the most amount of money on? And if you guys would not mention anything that I sell, please. No, that was a joke. That was a joke.
I always try to buy equipment it's new out there where, like I bought an HPC Sidewinder machine, never calibrated right. It was $1,000 at the time, and it just sat in the corner because every key I cut didn't work. Send it in. Oh, they adjusted it. Still didn't work when I got it back.
I remember that machine.
Yeah.
So you'd say that was what you wasted the most amount of money on?
Yep.
I'd say, you know what? From starting in 1980 to 2026, I mean,
Yeah.
that's excellent. Only $1,000.
Yeah. But that was like $1 million to me when I first got it.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever wasted any money because I've always made it work. If I got something that would have been a waste, I find other ways to use it.
Okay.
To make it work.
How about overpriced then? Is there anything?
Well, everything was overpriced. The early days was overpriced. That Triax machine, for example,
Yeah.
For $18,000, to me, that's overpriced.
Yeah.
But at the time it worked and it made money, so because you could do the keys that nobody else could do and it was automated.
Yeah.
But it was really a waste of money.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of people that have bought one of those machines or bought a machine like that and never use it. So
Yeah.
they wasted their money. But I always, if I get something and I figure it's overpriced or a waste of money, I'm going to find a way to use it, whether it's to find more jobs to use it.
Yeah.
To do that, because I don't want to waste my money.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Thank you both for being here.
Yeah.
You have any final words or thoughts or something that you've been wanting to get out that you haven't had the opportunity to yet?
Well, everybody should be buying more from you.
Yeah, hey, you know what? We're in direct alignment.
There you go. See, they should be buying more.
Yes.
And you should be growing more.
Yes.
So if you can grow more, you can service them better.
Yeah, 100%.
So they need to buy more.
They need to buy more. I mean, you heard it. You heard it here. I mean, Dad, are you going to second that motion?
Okay. No.
No, he wants to pay less for everything.
Yeah, oh, I know. Oh, I do know. Oh, have mercy. That's good. So,
Just keep locksmithing. Every day's a learning experience because you can always learn something you didn't know yesterday today.
yeah.
Well, everything changes. every day.
Yeah. And do you guys both, I guess one last quick question here, we'll announce the winners. But now that you're later on in your career, let's call halfway through for both of you. All right?
I'm
halfway
just
through.
starting. Okay.
Yeah, just started.
Just starting.
I mean, are you guys pretty happy with choosing locksmithing as your profession? Or
Absolutely.
do you ever wonder what it'd been like to choose a different path?
I can't imagine doing anything else.
So the way I look at it is you got to like what you do. If you like what you do, you're not working. So I never feel like I'm working when I'm doing locks. I never feel like I'm working when I do woodworking either because I enjoy doing woodworking. So
Okay.
anything that that you like to do makes it easy. It's not a job.
Sure.
Everybody asks me when am I going to retire? Well, I'm going to retire the day I die. That's when I'm going to retire.
Same thing I said.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep working. But
Yeah.
I know a lot of the younger people are going, oh yeah, I'm gonna retire when I'm 50 and I'm gonna go travel. And I know people that did that, and then they ended up dying, 10 years later when they were 60.
Yeah.
Because working is good for you. It's
Mhm.
healthy.
I agree.
You may hurt, something may hurt, or you're a little slower, but it's still healthy for you.
Yeah. And I mean, how does it feel that, the two of you met as just young men carving your way in this world down in LA?
Mm-hmm.
And here you are so many years later, sitting together in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. What is that like?
It's good.
Yeah.
My kids can't believe it. My kids always go, because I still am in communication with somebody I went to kindergarten with.
Really?
And my kids can't believe that we've been friends for so long.
Yeah.
We always call each other on our birthdays and we're 5 days apart or 7 days apart on our birthdays, but we call every year and we visit it, every once in a while. I don't, I may not see her every year, but
Sure.
it might be 3 or 4 years, but we talk every year, at least on our birthdays.
Yeah.
And this has been going on for, 70 years or more.
Yeah.
And my kids just can't believe it. They go, how can you have a friend that long?
Well, as my son, he can't remember anything from his childhood. It must have been miserable.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that slave labor?
Is that what it was?
Is that slave labor? Most
Had
kids
to build that company somehow.
most kids summer break. We're like going to water parks.
We did.
Was the hose out in the
That's
yard?
it.
Yeah, in my face. Oh man, that's good. All right, guys. Well, hey, yeah, Michael, thank you so much for coming over today and hanging out. And I love anytime I can hear stories about my dad as a young man. And I'm excited for dinner to hear maybe a few of his
We
stories.
can only tell so many.
Yeah, so many.
So, I mean, that's what the dinner's for, right?
This is PG, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we can't tell all the stories.
Oh man, that's good.
Well,
Well,
thank you for having me, and I'll spend more time. I'm so far away. What can I say?
yeah. Oh, very good. All right. Well, thank you to the both. Hey, everybody. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed it, want to hit the like for Michael being here, that'd be awesome. Otherwise, of course, we'll see you in the videos, and then we'll see you back same place, same time next week. And I won't get I know it's been a couple months since I've not had my dad on, so I apologize. For
No,
that.
that's quite all right.
But I want to have you. I have a couple other things we'll be talking about. All right. I'd like to get you on again here soon. I have
Okay.
something in mind. But all right, everybody. Hey, take care.